Good morning. It's what's not up, the whole market. Sounds perfect. I mean, it looks great. We are still range bound, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. And talking to that, we've been talking TTI for the last 6 to 8 weeks that as long as we're holding above this 92K level on the daily, ignoring wicks that slip through and then get eaten back up, Bitcoin looks great. Even with TradFi markets trending down for a little while and thoughts of a broader, larger correction, Bitcoin held up. Even on days where we saw massive moves, 5% down and then regaining by the end of the day, that should have been a clear indicator to both crypto and TradFi markets that risk is at least still in the market and we're not quite going into that corrective phase yet. So right here, I'm watching to see if Bitcoin can kind of clear this 104, 105 area and see what happens next week with the inauguration where a self promoted crypto president is taking over. You know me, 150K is like my lower band. I'm looking closer to 180 to 200, aiming at 188 by the end of this year. And I agree. Most people who have been long Bitcoin, like you said, got long at 70 or earlier. TTI has a tranche of orders down in the sub 30K range. There's exactly. And so for people to sweat, a $100,000 to $90,000 move, you're in the wrong risk asset if that's what you're sweating about. And quite frankly, I mean, the largest reason that people are freaking out on Twitter whenever we see a big pullback is because most people don't have exposure to the game. They don't have exposure to Bitcoin, right? People are loaded. Yeah, absolutely. That's also a factor too. But if you're in spot, this last few weeks over the holidays have honestly been a nice break. Spend some time with family. Don't worry about the charts. As long as levels are holding, like, yeah, I mean, like that. Minus not selling the top, I'm not sweating at all. We bought significantly lower. Some altcoin positions are a little bit underwater just because of the large pullbacks. But if you're looking at the majors, the blue chips, you shouldn't be freaking out about these moves. You know this is coming. You know we just had a halving in August. The bull run isn't over like your influencer, bear that you're following says it is. It's going higher, especially with all the catalysts coming up, literally starting next week. Exactly. And we even talked on the day with the large volatility, and we saw that massive pullback and just barely touched, 3.05 trillion. And yeah, there's a conversation. If we close down here, then we need to have a longer conversation of what this means for risk on assets, and if that's a absolutely, exactly. But that wick got eaten up in a period of 30 minutes and was back within that ranging consolidation area. And look where we are now. We put in a higher high on the daily, at least so far until the daily closes, and we're pushing for all time highs, which I expect, in my opinion, we will see by the end of next week. We yeah, let's go to others. Yeah, so others others is all crypto assets outside the top 10. So this is excluding things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, ADA, XRP, BNB, and a handful of others that are in that. Exactly. So kind of, I mean, since the top 10 is largely all layer one blockchains, it's essentially everything but those layer one blockchains. And it has, it moves the most aggressively on extremely bullish days. With an example of today, up 4.5% versus total at 3.5, and total two and total three ranging at 2.8. But it still hasn't hit an all time high yet. It attempted that tap in our previous run up in early December, touching that 4.49, but it hasn't actually broken the all time high yet. It hasn't even put a higher on the a higher high on the daily yet. So we're watching to see it flip this 50-day moving average and then can kind of scale in as it tries to play the catch up game and breaks all time highs. I think if we can get others and total three to an extent above, call it 460 billion, that's when the fireworks in the alt season really starts. But that's got to have some confluence with, some movements in ETH BTC as well as some downtrend in Bitcoin dominance. Yeah. Yeah, and so I'll touch on one thing with others before I get going. I think two important facts that people need to think about is that when it comes to alt season, there you will always see alt outperformance in the market, whether Bitcoin's flying, stagnant, or dropping down. You will always have coins that outperform. It's just hard to find those coins. Not impossible, but you have to put the time in to actually find those assets that are outperforming. There is a single altcoin or a couple of altcoins every day or every week that are outperforming and look like they're in their own alt season. So that's one note, and two, that this year and in 2024, Bitcoin and Ethereum have spot ETFs. So that Bitcoin dominance chart is going to be a little more choppy because none of that money from traditional markets is going to flow into your shitcoin asset you're holding on some random chain in the cryptoverse. So keeping in mind that you have billions and billions of dollars that typically in previous cycles would flow down through the risk assets from large caps to mid caps to small caps and then back to Bitcoin, that's not going to happen. So that will have an effect on the alt season and the extent to the alt season we see. Ethereum, it looks like shit. I mean, it's a great asset. I am bullish Ethereum because I am delirious, but I think the first long you're going to take has to be above the 50-day moving average. You need to reclaim that kind of simple indicator that tells bulls that they're somewhat back in control. Right now we see the RSI trying to come up and retest the 50 level and trying to see if Ethereum can make it above 35.5. If we see that, I think that's an opportunity to start um, nibbling at some longs, potentially half our positions. And then once you said, like you said before, above 39.50, above 4,000 is when the fireworks should start. When Ethereum runs, altcoins typically end up running afterwards. And Ethereum has in the past cycles ended up outperforming from January onwards in kind of this year of the cycle we're in. I'm bullish. So, I mean, it's a catch up game. Who knows? XRP is stealing a lot of the wind. Solana stealing a lot of the wind. Meme coins, shit coins, AI coins are all stealing a lot of the wind that might possibly be going into Ethereum with this idea of Ethereum outperformance. So we'll have to see. Ethereum has two benefits. It has a spot ETF, only other asset besides Bitcoin that has that in North America. Europe has their own bag of shit. Um, and the fact that the president elect is selling and swapping his Bitcoin and other assets for Ethereum and holds 55 million. And whether you like the person or not, politics aside, he's probably going to pump his own bags. Agreed. No, I agree with you on this one. I've had mixed feelings on Solana, even though I use the chain on a daily basis. And the sell off from the previous all time high level down to sub 200 was quite aggressive and surprising. Like caught you off guard. I think it caught a lot of people off guard. And so yeah, 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 exactly. I was extremely surprised. So with that, I would agree with you. I don't want to own Solana until it's above 265. Besides on chain for degenerate activities. And kind of the next things I want to see it, clear this 220 level. And, if it has to consolidate at 230 ish for a little while before the next leg up, that's fine. But I want to see it going up again because right now we're just seeing this kind of W pattern on the chart. And above 265, it just be a much more comfortable long versus trying to. Absolutely. In crypto, especially given the 24-hour market nature, if you're going to be shorting these, it has to be aggressive intraday scalps. Like you can't let a short sit on the books. I mean, you can, but you're going to risk a tweet from a nobody coming out that says something bullish, and now you're blown out, and the price is up 40% in 5 minutes. Uh, it wasn't out of the books. It really kind of depended on the SEC, but this aggressively and this fast, no. Quite frankly, like we were talking before the breakout. We had posted in TTI saying, "Hey, if you see Ripple breaking above 70 cents, you long that." It's been in a range of 55 to 70 cents for arguably 3 years. It's a stable coin at this point. If you see it break above that, you get long. And same with what you said around the $1.17 area, and then I believe we had one closer to $1.50 as well on those kind of short consolidations. But yeah, you couldn't. It's a textbook move, and it's aggressive. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think both XRP and BNB have held up extremely well in the last 6 to 8 weeks of chop and drawdown from most other assets in the crypto space. A lot of altcoins are down anywhere from 20 to 70% in some cases. And these majors and blue chips have shown that they're not going anywhere. They've not only held their 200-day moving averages and not even come close, but they've held their 50-day moving averages, which is quite impressive. BNB looks great. I think I want to own more of this above 725, 726 area. And I mean, I think my targets would be set a little bit higher, probably closer to 2,000 by end of cycle, if not, 2,200 ish. But yeah, 950 absolutely is the next target, and I imagine we'll probably get there within the next few weeks to a couple months. I agree. Position coin, certainly. Yeah, no, I agree, and I think a lot of coins, especially multi-cycle coins, we're talking ADA, Litecoin, HBAR, XLM, that exactly. They all have the same, and, when we jump over to Ray is a new coin, but again, almost identical setup. If you can long these setups on the breaks, you are good to go. I can start with I don't have a position in Ray yet. Um, but so yeah, very similar chart setup, if not almost identical to ADA, to XLM, to HBAR, even to XRP prior to the breakout, even though XRP held up the strongest of that large grouping. But Ray, we want to be buyers of this above 640. And there's no other area of contention besides previous cycle chop, and look to take this to all-time highs. I'm looking to take that 640 entry and go to at least $9 for a quick 30% rip, essentially, and then take that to all-time high. And Ray is additionally a play on the Solana ecosystem, which is showing strength over Ethereum's right now. So a win-win if you are a Solana bull. Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a first price target. Yeah, oh yeah. As long as if we're not all red or something's happening, it's a good time. Absolutely. We're going. Exactly. It's really nothing. And going into the U.S. inauguration, you know, exactly, exactly. Send it higher. My pleasure. Have a great weekend.